We got to talk about it. There is a major backstage problem in WWE, and if it doesn't get controlled, it could make up for a really bad WrestleMania moment. Also, in addition to that, WWE superstars getting sponsorships. This is such a weird thing. And it's really weird because TKO owns WWE. I really can't wait to break this one down. This is just strange. And I don't know if this is like a favoritism thing. We're going to have to talk about that. Plus, Tony Khan eyeing a very famous arena for AEW, one that is really exciting. So let's talk about AEW. Obviously, there's been a lot of negativity throughout the last 24 hours because of AEW Dynasty. A lot of people have been really upset about AEW Dynasty and some of the things that have happened there. However, during the post-show media scrum, Tony Khan was talked about the possibility of AEW running an event at the 2300 Arena. Now, for some of you guys, you might gloss over this topic and might not actually think it's a big deal, but there is a reason why I think it is a big deal. And there is something that I definitely want to talk about when it comes to this particular subject matter. Tony Khan is actually interested in doing it. He says he would be very interested in doing it. He said he would absolutely love to run there, and he thinks it would be really cool if we go to the 2300 Arena sometime. I haven't been there in a long time. So yeah, AEW doing different venues and things like that. I mean, it's not really massive news or big news in the slightest. But what's really interesting about this topic is the fact that NXT recently ran the 2300 Arena. They even did that little show showing homage, paying homage to ECW, which I think there was a lot of fans who were kind of upset about that because the ECW people that appeared wasn't like some spectacular list. But I actually think it would be really cool for AEW to run the 2300 Arena. We've seen Impact do it. We've seen NWA do it. We've seen these smaller companies do it. AEW is currently doing smaller venues in general. And the 2300 Arena is one that has a lot of history, obviously, because of ECW. And not to mention, AEW does have a little bit of ECW influence in its current product. So to me, it kind of makes sense. The only question mark that I have here is WWE still preventing venues from booking AEW? Because some of these smaller companies are running the same venues that WWE has, especially with NXT. However, when it comes to WWE and AEW, you don't really tend to see them running the same types of venues, especially because as of late, AEW has downsized. But is this a situation where WWE has prevented AEW? Why hasn't AEW done the 2300 Arena at all? Especially when you have AEW Collision. It is a smaller venue. AEW Collision could easily sell out there. It's such a cool looking venue. It's got a lot of history. I think it just makes a lot of sense. I don't know why they don't do that.
Now would be the best time to remind you that we have a major goal to hit 100,000 subscribers. Over 40% of the viewers who watch this channel are not subscribed. Please click subscribe if you enjoy staying educated on everything with wrestling news.
Okay, and that brings us to our next topic. Cody Rhodes has a sponsorship, and I don't really know when WWE started doing this, and I think this needs to be talked about a lot more than it is being talked about because nobody is talking about this. But you got to start connecting the dots between the UFC and WWE and how they do run things differently. So a new report came out from Fightful Select today that Cody Rhodes has officially extended his partnership with Wheatley American Vodka. Now, you guys may have seen that Cody Rhodes has been doing stuff with the Wheatley American Vodka brand. We also know WWE had done some stuff with them as well. This new report comes out, and basically this has been extended for several years. It's being referred to as a huge partnership extension. We originally saw the collaboration last year, March 2024. He got the bus wrap, his tour bus was wrapped with the Wheatley vodka. It's interesting that Cody Rhodes has secured a sponsorship. And the reason for this is because if you look at TKO is the one who has prevented a lot of UFC stars. Not a lot. All of the UFC stars that exist cannot have a sponsorship. They're not allowed to have sponsorships. They're not allowed to have sponsored tights or anything like that. There is a huge restriction on UFC talent. So when you look at TKO and how they've handled that with the UFC, one would think it would be identical for WWE. And what's really strange is you don't see scenarios at all where WWE superstars have some sort of sponsorship. But Cody Rhodes is the WWE champion. Now, I don't know if this is a favoritism thing. I don't know if WWE has a hand in helping Cody Rhodes secure this deal. I don't know if WWE is only allowing Cody to do this. But I do think there's a lot of money being left on the table if WWE doesn't look at securing extra revenue from getting their talent sponsored. Now, let's just do like a hypothetical example for a quick second. Zelina Vega. She does Twitch streams. She's out there. She makes content and stuff like that. Now, imagine a fitness company came to Zelina Vega and said, we want to sponsor you. And Zelina Vega and the WWE and the fitness company come together and reach a deal. WWE gets paid a little bit, Zelina Vega gets paid a little bit extra, and of course the brand gets the recognition. And then what's really cool is when Zelina Vega comes out, and makes her entrance, maybe they put a little graphic of the fitness company that sponsored her, and they put it on her nameplate. I know a lot of people tend to not like this idea of brands everywhere in advertising, but if you're not going to wear like a Gymshark logo on your ring attire, why not have a Gymshark logo on the nameplate? And Zelina Vega could be considered a Gymshark athlete. And if WWE is helping get these deals, WWE gets paid, Zelina Vega gets paid, and the brand gets recognition. It's literally a win-win-win for everybody. In fact, if I were the WWE, if I were TKO, I would actively use my ad sales teams as a way to pitch different wrestlers for different sponsorships. Cody Rhodes has Wheatley Vodka, and that's awesome, but why aren't we looking and exploring other opportunities for everybody? I think that would just be a massive win. Who knows what's really going down? It's a really strange situation, but it is something that should be talked about. Some people will agree, some people will disagree, but I do think for sure there is money to be made. And that brings us to our final topic. So for those who don't know, Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton went off the script this past weekend on SmackDown, and this has led to a lot of people actually wondering if it's real, if it's fake, what is going on. Now, not a lot of people have come out and actually talked about this with any sort of credibility, but Dave Meltzer has come out and basically said that for the last 2 weeks now, there has been some serious backstage issues between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. Now, I don't know if Dave Meltzer is speculating, because sometimes it just seems like Dave is speculating, but there is a reason for why they went off this script. And basically, this is what Dave said. He said there have been problems between the two for about 2 weeks, so people knew about it. And I mean, you could even, one thing about this is it also shows a complete double standard in how people view things. Because if this same thing happened in AEW, while the blame would still probably go to the people in the ring, of course, it would largely go on Tony Khan. If it was him, you had 2 weeks to figure this out to get people on the same page, blah, 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 blah. And there they went out there and they just went off the rails. And both of them, did you know what I mean? It was like Charlotte is getting more of the blame, and probably deservedly so, but they are both getting blamed for it. So basically what Dave is saying is if this happened in AEW, people would blame Tony Khan. And he's saying right now in WWE, the backstage reaction is basically blaming Charlotte Flair. Now, what I will say is this. I actually agree for once with Dave. I think it's not just Tony Khan's responsibility, but it's also the people backstage in WWE's responsibility. Triple H, Road Dogg, whoever is really taking care of things backstage in SmackDown should be able to prevent this. I also want to make this really clear, because I do think some people are going to try to act like it's not apples to apples, but it is apples to apples. If you have backstage problems in AEW or WWE, the reality is this was a train wreck of a segment. If there is truly the beef that everybody is saying there is at WrestleMania, this is not going to be a good match. And there should be a good match. This should be a wonderful match. Both of them are highly skilled. You would like to think that they're going to go out there and potentially steal the show. But of course, when you got this pettiness back and forth, that's a whole different conversation. So the reality is, this is a major backstage problem. It could have implications at WrestleMania. Why didn't WWE figure out about this ahead of time? And that's the real question.